Hey guys, it's YOU WACK, and Blizzard has introduced the new hero Doomfist, as many of you guys know, because there's been countless videos, including from myself, and that's the reason why I wanted to make yesterday's video, just kind of introducing the hero and just talking about, giving like a basic guide. When I mean basic guide, bruh, I meant a very basic guide, just talking about his abilities and whatnot. So if you want to see like an lowdown of how Doomfist is, go check that video out, because that video kind of feeds into this one if you don't already know how Doomfist is, because like many of you guys know, the dive comp is so prevalent in Overwatch because it's the best tactic to try to get a point, especially on 2 CP maps. It can work on like maybe payload maps and even sometimes even control maps or whatever, but especially on like Volskaya or Hanamura, the dive comp is just so prevalent because it just not only attacks from the front but also from the skies and the left and the right. And I feel like Doomfist is just going to be the best DPS hero to try to work with the dive comp, just because of the abilities and the way that Doomfist is just kind of designed. Because a while ago I did make a video talking about the dive comp and kind of gave a cookie cutter list of some heroes, but there was 2 slots that were kind of up in the air that you can kind of just go free roam with it as terms of selecting a DPS hero. And I said maybe like a Genji, a Tracer, or a Pharah, choosing 2 out of those 3 heroes. But now Doomfist is probably the #1 DPS hero that you want to try to use when going with the dive comp. And why is that? Well, I'm going to explain in this whole entire video, but I also want to get you guys' thoughts as terms of Doomfist paired up with the dive comp. Not really Doomfist by himself, but really with this tactic, because let me just explain my side of this theory. So if you didn't go watch that dive comp video and just see the list of heroes, pretty much the cookie cut list that you're going to want to use is going to be a Winston, a Lucio, maybe a Zarya and a Mercy, and then you can go with like a Soldier, a Pharah, a Tracer, a Genji, literally any DPS hero, because, well, what you want to do is dive onto the enemy, and the Lucio and Winston excels at that so tremendously, because Lucio can speed up the slower heroes while Winston is diving into the back. Well, if you want to look at the hero Doomfist and what he's all about, literally, he is just like Winston, because he is a dive-oriented type hero. He has that uppercut ability. He has that charge with his Doomfist ability to where he can get in the enemy back line really quick. I kind of see it as like a Reinhardt, kind of like a Genji dash or whatever. And not even that, people are forgetting about his ultimate. Literally, you can choose to where you want to land in the back line. It's like a Predator missile from Call of Duty. They don't see you diving up until you press down where you actually want to land. So you can not only take out the support line instantly, but you can also clean up the whole entire enemy team in their back line, because, well, now you're in their back line. There's just so much going for Doomfist on the surface, but I do want to talk about the in-depth kind of way that Doomfist is just going to excel with the dive comp, starting with #1. So the first thing that makes Doomfist so just dive comp oriented is just the toolkit that he's given. So the biggest thing with the dive comp is that it's very mobile. You're not really going to be using slow heroes like a McCree or whatever. You can, but really I would rather want a Soldier. But really a better hero for this dive comp is going to be Tracer and Genji. Why is that? Well, they're very mobile and they can get in the enemy back lines and just kind of distract them all angles. Now Doomfist is even better because of all the abilities that he's given, but also trying to pair them up. So you're just going to be able to tell a good Doomfist from a terrible Doomfist if they're just solely relying on maybe one ability, or just relying on his rocket hands, or just his rocket knuckles, whatever they're called. So really you have to pair them up and know the type of situation. And I keep comparing him to Genji because, well, Genji is kind of like a hybrid in terms of his abilities and also his weapons. A good Genji is going to be able to know when to dash, know when to throw his stars, but also know when to deflect, get out of there. It's just so much going on. Same thing with Doomfist. Is if one person just relies on the charge from the Doomfist and doesn't utilize the seismic slam and the uppercut and pairing them up together, then he's not going to be utilizing what Doomfist is all about, especially in the dive comp. Not only that, not just even talking about his abilities, but the second thing that makes him so dive comp oriented is that Doomfist requires you to get in the enemy's face. You're not going to be killing a lot of people at range. I mean, sometimes you can, but that range is pretty limited to, say, about 10 meters. So more or less, you're going to want to try to get in every single enemy's face, and Doomfist can just do that and then some, because he has that charge ability like I keep mentioning. But not only that, his like shotgun rocket hands is going to be able to kill the enemies. So really, like I keep mentioning about the dive comp, it's really team oriented, but also requiring you to get in the enemy's face. It's not like Soldier McCree where you want to try to kill at range. No, the dive comp is all about trying to get inside the enemy's little bubble and killing them, and that's the whole point of what Doomfist is supposed to do, getting in tickle distance and just team wiping them right there. Now the third reason why Doomfist is so great with the dive comp, which I feel like people are just kind of just brushing away, they don't think that it's that big of a deal, but he has 50 more HP when compared to a Genji and 100 more HP when compared to a Tracer. He's a 250 HP hero, so yeah, 50 HP may not be a lot, but sometimes that can come really in handy, especially when you're trying to pick a hero. Me personally, if I were to have two god tier like Genjis and Doomfists, I might want to go with the Doomfist just because he has that little added protection. If they know how to use it, bruh, it's gonna go a long way is what I'm trying to say, especially with Mercy healing. That little 50 HP, again, it may not seem like a lot, but it can not only help the Mercy build up res, but it also just give him a little bit more security when going in the battle and trying to kill someone like their Mercy or their Lucio or their Zenyatta, or whatever the case may be. Now, the fourth thing that's one of the biggest things is his passive ability, and this thing just gives him added protection when compared to a Genji. And the reason why I keep bringing Genji into this is because I strongly feel like he's somewhat like a Genji-esque hero and can just easily replace him in the role of the DPS slot in the dive comp. So his passive ability allows him to get this little tiny shield every time he hits someone with his ability, say his Doomfist, say his Seismic Slam, anything like that. It's not going to be giving him 3000 shield. That obviously that's an exaggeration. No, it's just going to be a little sliver of a shield, but it can add on and it can build up. If someone is constantly using their abilities, again, this is going to go with the argument you're going to be able to tell a good Doomfist from a trash Doomfist if they're not utilizing every single ability. If they do, not only that, not only are they giving the enemy damage, but they're also building a shield on top of them. So he not only has that 50 HP just added protection, he also has a shield on top of that. Now, granted, he can only go to 400 total HP max, but still, I would take that over a Genji who constantly needs freaking healing and has no added protection besides a few deflects and a dash ability. So the passive is just going to be utilized so well for the people that know how to use Doomfist, especially when using it in the dive comp where he has a lot of abilities that have very slow cooldowns. Now, the fifth and last reason why Doomfist is going to work so well with the dive comp, I already mentioned this before, but his ultimate ability literally allows him to skydive, directly hit someone in the back line. It's period. That if he didn't have that ultimate, okay, maybe you can make some arguments that he wouldn't be that great with a dive comp, but if the first dive doesn't work and then the second dive doesn't work, he should maybe have his ultimate by then. And at that point, you can just tell the Winston and tell the Lucio, it's like, all right, guys, I'm gonna ult, I'm gonna try to get the Mercy, dive in with me so they can just kind of back off and I can just do my thing. So really, the biggest thing with the dive comp is that it's team oriented. You have to work together as a team, and with Doomfist allowing just this secondary dive with Winston, not only protects the Winston because, well, now there's a second target that the enemy can focus and not only just the Winston. So again, there's just so much going for Doomfist that just allows the dive comp just to excel even more and allows this to be even a better meta comp for us to just use in competitives. But I do want to get your guys' thoughts and hear your guys' opinion. I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.